Welcome to this week's episode of The Weekly. This is your spot every Thursday to check out the latest trends and innovation that we're seeing in the marketplace. So I was thinking about this weekend and about what's been going on in our markets. And so much has changed. And sometimes I hear a lot of people saying, well, I can't wait until we get back to normal. And I'm of the opinion, this is the normal. This is the reality that we're living in. And if COVID leaves us, or ever does leave us, will something bounce back a little bit to where they were? I think so. But I think the majority of innovations that you're seeing in the marketplace, you're going to continue to see after COVID's gone. So we have a couple examples of those in this week's segments. So let's get to the first segment of the day. In our first segment, Rory Barnwell talks about smart building analytics. And it's always been an age-old question. I designed an incredible building. I wonder how it worked once people got into it. It's not always tied together. And now COVID is accelerating some additional questions, obviously air filtration and others at the top of the list. So what's going on with smart building analytics today?
Yeah, I'd say it's not necessarily new, but more acceleration of different trends that we had around prior to this pandemic. I'd say indoor air quality is a big one right now. Everyone wants to know how what KPIs should we be tracking, what should we be sharing with our tenants, with our employees to kind of communicate that this is a safe place to come back to. I'm here in my office today, but I'd be surprised if Chicago was more than 10% occupied right now.
In our middle segment today, we talk about smart cities. Edgar Stotch, who's from Philadelphia, Thomas Jefferson University, my hometown, so he must be fantastic, talks to us about smart cities, what's going on with them today, and what's driving the movement.
So when I define smart cities, I really go from an urban scale, the entire city, to the building scale, to a device scale, or the individual scale. So when we start thinking about ramping up or bringing cities up to speed, we really have to start on with the urban infrastructure. We have to look into how to turn parking spots into parks, streets into bike paths. We have to make sure that the environment is healthy for the inhabitants. We have to increase population health in an urban scale. So that's really number one, and that goes along with environmental aspects like clean air and so forth, noise reduction, ventilation, access to sun, and so forth. Once we have done that job, we can move on to buildings. It's with the building scale. New buildings clearly need to be environmentally friendly. They have to have a hopefully neutral carbon footprint. They're producing as much energy as they are using, and they are using materials which are hopefully based on natural resources like wood and so forth.
We finished our last segment of the day talking to Bradford Russell. Bradford Russell is an expert on community storm center design. The United States, if you didn't know, is by far the leader in tornadoes and high wind occurrences. So new standards and codes are coming into place, and even some of the older ones have to be brought up.
And the current ICC 500 is a 2014, but the new ICC 500 2020 will be issued later this year. And it will pick up some different updates to the 2014. For instance, flying debris, test impact locations on components, and speed of flying debris hitting these components, and the minimum number of test impacts. And this all centers around the reason being is in past storms, the components have been the failure mechanism for the storm shelters, but the overall system itself is very well functioning.
So that ends our segments for today. We thank you very much for joining us. If you miss any of our segments, here are our addresses. We're on Horizon TV and on YouTube. Obviously, you can see next week's episode, but anything you want to stream from the past, you can check out there. And if you want to talk to me, send me an email about anything you'd like to see on the show. Here's my email address. So next week, we'll have 3 new segments for you. Before we leave, we're going to have a trivia question. That flag, where's it from? 3, 2, 1. Not Austria, not Denmark. That is the flag of England, the St. George's flag. So you can probably win a couple dollars on that bet. So we'll see you again next Thursday. Please be safe. Please be safe. And thank you very much for joining us.